Jinko Fishing is here to bring you low budget live. They're also here to bring you sweet BOGO deals, as the kids say. Buy one, get one right now on select rods and baits on the jinkofishing.com website. You can also use code LBL25, 25% off of most things on jinkofishing.com. We appreciate the folks at Jinko for bringing you low budget live. Hang the banner. Express Boats, the first ever aluminum bass boat, all welded aluminum bass boat, to take a ride in the arena with a Bassmaster Classic trophy on that beautiful front deck, loaded down with sea deck, 96-inch beam on that X21 Pro, fastest hole shot in the game with that 250 Yamaha Show, more tackle storage than you can shake a stick at. Don't just take my word for it. Come see them at the Bassmaster Classic. Crawl around in one. Take one home with you. That's what you should do. Express Boats, building excitement since 1966. Damn these
blues. It happens every night. And I ain't never met
every
a
old night
boat dealer that could ever be a friend of mine.
Nope.
Summer heat never treats me kind. It leaves trouble on my mind. So I'm bidding farewell, putting in my notice, and I'll see you at another time. This highway does not know my name, and I don't care. No, I don't care. Headed my way for another place, and I got 3 good tires and a spare. Just a white line gypsy getting out of Mississippi with just enough gas to get there.
Low budget live, the not so live variety for the low budget live bar and grill here in beautiful southern middle Tennessee. And dang, it's good to be home. It's good to be home. It's the podcast for Monday, March the 10th. And we're a little late. We're actually recording this on Monday because holy crap, that NPFL week was a little wild. I was out there all week. Mother Nature did what it does best, what she does, and delayed us starting things off. Instead of Thursday, we had a Friday start, which meant we ended on Sunday. We were lucky to get all 3 days in, but I did not get home until about 1 a.m. this morning. Had a late flight out. So here we are. We're recording a podcast today, and I'm glad to be back in the bar and grill. Been traveling a ton this whole year. I talk about it each and every week. Going to be home this week, leading into the Alabama Bass Trail at Gunnersville this weekend, which may be on Saturday or it may be on Sunday because of Mother Nature. Not sure. And then that's going to take us right into Bassmaster Classic Week coming up. That is things kick off. I actually think they start practicing this week. So you got 12 days from right now. 12 days to start thinking, planning to be at Birdie's Social Club for Low Budget Live, presented by Jinko Fishing. Live. We're going to be doing a live podcast starting at 8 p.m. Birdie's Social Club, Fort Worth, Texas. We're doing a live podcast for a little bit. Lots of special guests. And then we're going to do the thing with the Fat Rascals, live music, myself, John Simpson, Ben Ballou, Shannon Wheeler, and Ryan Engelman on the lead guitar. We're going to have a big old time, large time in Fort Worth. So y'all be sure to come on out. We're also going to be doing a podcast in the Express Boats booth at 1 p.m. at the Classic Expo on March 22nd. So maybe you got youngins with you and you can't get out to Birdie Social Club for the live party. Come on out to the Express Boats booth. It'll be a good time. Come check out all the boats. Got a good guest list for that one as well. All right. Back to NPFL talk. So, yeah, long week, long fun week. It was like a family reunion. It's my first time being back on site for the most part since 2021. I have got to go to a couple, but we've been up there stowed away in that stinking studio in Wisconsin. And it was good. It was good. It was good to be back with the people and so many new faces that are old faces to me, that just veterans and friends of mine and folks that I kind of know and some folks that I really know. And it was just a really cool group of anglers. And man, it was such a special week. They caught the crap out of them. Absolutely just Santee showed out. 26 bags over 20 the first day, 3 bags over 30 the first day. Then we had a 30 bag the second day. Jason Christie wins the thing with bookends. He had a 31-pound bag the first day and a 32-pound bag the last day with a 19 sandwiched in there. Incredible tournament, man. 10-pounders, like a 10-9 was big bass. So many 9s, so many 8s, so many 7s. Absolute freak show at the drive-through weigh-ins. The people in South Carolina, the tourism folks in Clarendon County. It was just a good week. It was a really good week. Good to be back. I want to thank everybody, though, for bearing with us on live. We had some issues with camera connections. That's a real sketchy place to be in the world at Santee, cell phone service wise. So we did have we had some bumps. We had some bumps, and so many of y'all reached out. I've seen a lot of positive. I've also seen negative, because you're going to see negative comments. It's bass fishing. It's social media, and I get that. But I just ask that you do bear with us, because I've sat in that seat, and a lot of people are new to the NPFL, and they don't know who I am. They don't listen to the show. They don't know who Fat Cat is. They don't know anything about NPFL, and they tuned in for the first time. I've sat in that seat. This is going into my 5th year. I can promise you this. Where we have been from a production standpoint to where we're going, just hang on. It's going to get a lot better. It's going to get a lot better, because we've had a ride on that end. It's been doing my job can be very difficult at times. Has been that in the past, and they're putting their best foot forward. They're investing in a lot of equipment, a lot of technology. They're investing in the right people to make the show better, and they did that coming into this. But we had some gremlins. We had some camera gremlins, some connectivity gremlins, and audio gremlins on the first day. And look, Mark Zona told me before I ever did the first NPFL at Eufaula in 2021, that was his advice, is understand it is live. There's no dress rehearsal. There, you can be as prepared as you think you are equipment wise, and there will always be a curve. And that coming from a man that's been doing it for a very long time. So I do take some kind of, when it does kind of get a little swirly, I do always think back to that, because it's live. We worked all week testing things, could not be more prepared, and then you just never know. Once boats get to running around, different conditions, you just don't know. So in a month at Lake Norman, I thought day 2 was a lot better than day 1 at Santee, or day 2 and 3 when we broadcast. It'll be a better show at Norman. I really believe that. And I thank you for all your kind words. If you were a negative, whatever, keyboard warrior about it, then okay. That's fine too. There's a lot going on. Live coverage is, in fact, Kat, I wish I was having him on today to talk about this, because it's one of those things that you don't realize until you do it. And there's all kind of criticisms about people online that do it in the fishing space, or hell, NFL, basketball, whatever you're watching, you're like, oh, I could do this, man. I just talk about fishing, man. You got like 47 voices in your head, more than normal, telling you what to do, where to go, what's coming up next. They're talking to, people in the background. It goes on all day. So for 5 hours, even if I'm looking right at that camera and I'm saying, guys, this is what's going on, there are people talking right here in this here. It is it's a skill that, and I'm bragging on myself because I have ADD. Y'all know that. I'm like, squirrel. It is a skill that I don't know how I even have it, that I possess it, to be able to deliver a clear thought while people talk. And it's the same way at ABT doing live. And I've got a lot of practice at it at this point, but I would just say that to people online. Like, it's a tough gig. It's a tough gig. And most fishing fans are very spoiled by live coverage. Bringing you 5 hours of live fishing the second it's happening is not easy. Kudos to Bassmaster and MLF for pulling it off the way they do and the way they have for so long. I think MLF show very good. Obviously the JM crew with Bass, they're pros. They got it dialed, beautiful studio, the whole nine. And it's just not easy. It's not easy. So they make it look easy a lot of the time. And hell, we have at times. So despite a lot of things that the fans don't know. But yeah, thank you. Thank you for the love, and thank you for all the comments. We see them. I try to see them. I try to look, check in. I will say this though. If you have a problem logging on to the NPFL website or, finding your favorite angler on the leaderboard or whatever, like I'm not the guy to troubleshoot that with. Or if you want to talk about a rule infraction, it's like I said about the ABT. I'm not the guy necessarily or want to talk about the rules. Myself and Fat Cat, we are personalities. We host the live. We're very involved in the league, but we don't make schedule decisions. We don't make rule decisions. We don't disqualify people. We're not the IT people. We don't deal with the website. I cannot help you. If you can't figure out how to watch the live, if you can't get it to work for you, I appreciate you trying. Please don't take it as that. But that being said, I can't do nothing. I can't do nothing. I am the mouth runner. That's what I do. So I get very, very, very lucky to get to talk about bass fishing as much as I do, and that's what I do. So appreciate you letting us know. But I had people comment and tag me in comments. Hey, the website's not working. Luke Duncan. Okay. And a lot of times I get tagged in those while I'm in the studio doing live. 50 people in my ear, the whole nine. I'm sorry. Like I can't get back to you on that, and I'm not the one to know that because I can't change it, unfortunately. If I was in charge of everything, it'd probably be a bigger shit show. Let's just be honest. I do well to get out a couple podcasts a week. So anyhow, appreciate all that. Something else I want to address, the Skeeter Crosby disqualification, because I've seen Slick's made a video talking about it. I've seen on our Facebook post talking about it. People just ripping NPFL apart, just like they did Bassmaster of the Scott Martin thing. I want to explain this once and for all to all you people that clearly, and this isn't the lowlifers, send this to your buddy that's an idiot commenting something stupid about these rules are stupid and NPFL's as bad as Bassmaster. Free Scott Martin. Free Scott Martin. Free him. Free that boy from evil. Like, stop. All right? This is what I'm going to say. The soliciting information rule is very important. It's very important. Here's why it's important. I know you knuckleheads think keyboard warriors, fat finger mom's basement typers, think it's just simply black and white, especially on the Scott Martin situation because you think he's a good boy and that's awesome and you're a super fan and I get it. Awesome. He broke the damn rule. Period. End of story. The reason that rule is important is in the case of, let me back up. I've seen a lot of people say, well, it's going to discourage fans from talking to pros because they just can't hear anything. That ain't got nothing to do with it. It has nothing to do with the situation. Situation is if you solicit, which means ask for, and you know what you're doing when you do it. You ask for it. That's what got Scott in trouble on video, asking for information about the lake that was off limits. That he was not so. It wasn't shop talk. It wasn't dock talk. It wasn't running into a guy while you're filling up your boat that goes, "Hey brother, there's 5 8-pounders on my dock," because that kind of crap happens. That's not why he was DQ'd. That's not why Skeeter Crosby was DQ'd. That's not why Matt Herron was DQ'd. It's not. It's not the case. You don't know what you're talking about. To follow a sport so closely and be so obsessive with it, over the top, there's a large majority of people that don't know what the hell they're talking about. You're wrong. You're so wrong on this situation. The reason the rule exists is to prevent someone from gaining a competitive advantage. It is hard to police, yes, but the no information, no soliciting information rule prevents, if you got a better contact book than I do, say you're Scott Martin at Lake Okeechobee, for example, and you know various guides that got out of Roland Martin's Marine Center, and you know a young man that just fished a tournament and caught 29 pounds. You know all the players. If that rule isn't in place or isn't enforced, you can call that guy leading up to your Bassmaster and go, "Hey, dude, give me all the juice where you caught that 29 pounds last week," and you show up to the Bassmaster Elite Series, which is supposed to be a level playing field against some of the best anglers in the world, and you got all the goods, and they show up with a knife to a gunfight. Okay? Follow along. That's why these rules exist. Or if maybe you got more money than the next guy, there's also a rule that says you can't buy, barter, or trade for information. So you can't go, hey man, I'll give you half of my winnings if you put me on the winning fish. The stuff exists. These rules exist to police that type of thing, to keep you from getting a competitive advantage. Now, you may have a competitive advantage in your skill level. Okay? You may be better at cranking a square bill. You may be better at live scope. You may be a better sight fisherman, a better flipper, better at tidal fisheries, whatever. You may have a competitive advantage, but you should not have a competitive advantage over the field in a bass tournament because you can dial a bass. It's what the rule's there for. Okay? It's what it's there for. When you're leaned up on your boat, asking a guy about areas, specific information that other competitors cannot ask said guide you are talking to on video, that's soliciting information that the other anglers couldn't get. This isn't gas station talk. This isn't, again, grocery store talk. You broke a rule. You broke a rule. Broke a rule. That's breaking a rule. In the case of Skeeter Crosby, one of our cameramen, Travis Lyons, the twin visuals. Travis pulled up. He had been covering Buck Mallory, who was in second. Skeeter started the day in third. They are roommates. On day 2, they were in the same area. Here's where the problem lies with what Skeeter did. And I don't think Skeeter did this out of ill intent. We had this happen in year 1 with NPFL as well. You just cannot do this. Skeeter turns around, Travis in the camera, but it looked like he was looking at our cameraman that was in the boat, okay, when this happened on live. Travis Lyons pulls up, still photographer to take pictures of Skeeter. Skeeter has 0 bass. It's on up in the morning. He had been off to a fast start. Both mornings he had a big bag in the first hour, okay? Nothing. His main area is blown out. I'm not saying he's spinning out, but he's struggling, right? It's the final day. Camera in the boat. He's struggling. He's very excited. I talked to him on Saturday. He's like pumped. Family there. Like he was excited. He should have been in contention to win 100K. Struggling. Cameraman pulls up. He turns around and says, have y'all covered Buck Mallory in second place? Have y'all been on Buck? Can't hear what the cameraman says. And he says, does he got him? Buck second, Skeeter's third. Here's where the issue comes in. He solicited information from a non-competitor. He can go over and ask Buck all day long, how you doing? What you got? They can talk. That kind of stuff goes on. You can share information with fellow competitors, and it's fine. It's fine. But you cannot ask a camera op that's been taking pictures of Buck, is he catching them? And here's where that problem could come in. Say Travis was to go, yeah, man, he's got 28 pounds. And you're sitting on 0, and you know right where he's sitting, and y'all are roommates and buds. What's going to stop you from pulling the trolling motor? And I'm not saying the Skeeter would do this. Please, this is all hypothetical. But the rule is put in place to prevent him from pulling up the trolling motor, going over there, catching Buck's fish in the area Buck was in. Right? And Buck was struggling as well. But I'm saying, like, that's what the rule, it's to prevent a guy from coming up, or maybe you go to a lake that rule doesn't exist and you get 3 or 4 of your buddies. It's where you're from. You have them out there running around looking where guys are at. Okay? The leaders. They come back to you down there in about 20th place. Hey, Luke. Jason Christie's over here cracking them on a spinnerbait just right around the corner. Oh, really? Yeah, man. He's in Waxahachie Creek. You better go over there. It's what it's built to prevent. It's what it's built to prevent. So stop crying. Stop complaining. Stop saying, these rules need to go away. Free Scott Martin. He broke a freaking rule. Skeeter broke a rule and owned it. Skeeter owned it. Do I think there was ill intent? No. I'm just trying to explain to you, just like I did on live, what the rules are there for. Now, look, if you want to take off the governors off this thing and you want to watch just 2 or 3 people dominate because they've got the most money and the most connections, because I've seen that side of it. I fished a trail for a long time against some of the people we're talking about, and I've seen things that fans won't believe on trades, barters, buying, sneaky ways to figure out how to get local information that gets around the rules somehow, gray area. People are masters of this stuff. It happens. It happens. That rule needs to be in place. There needs to be a no information rule that you cannot solicit information is how it's written. Does it suck that Skeeter got DQ'd on camera? Abso-freaking-lutely. Does my heart go out to him and his family? Yep, it does. Caught up in the moment, maybe he was just checking on his buddy. The rule is there to prevent him from really checking on his buddy if his buddy's catching him, packing his crap up and going there. I know it's tricky, or it seems to be for a majority of the bass fishing internet. I don't know why that doesn't make more sense to people. I just don't. I'm struggling with that one. And Fat Cat, when NPFL made the post, we were laughing. I said, that'll be the most commented thing on all week long. He's like, surely not. I said, yeah, and it'll be 90% negative. Boop. 90% negative. Hell, I was catching strays, which I always do. And I'm a big boy. I'm good with it. I can catch some strays. I can throw some out too. Yeah. I just don't understand when protecting the rules became an issue. Like, I've taken issue with the fact that none of these tournament trails have done jack freaking crap for years. And now that they're doing it, the whole damn internet's got a problem with it. When half the internet last year was yelling about the rookies on the Elite Series not getting in enough trouble. Now, plenty of them were yelling when they did get in trouble too. Like, it's just bizarre. So either we got to have rules that we go by, or let's just open it all up. They can be just jabbing damn steroids in their neck, using 90 live scopes, getting all the information. Snagging bedfish, who cares? Let's just do it all. Let's just do it all. But I mean, there needs to be some kind of guideline, I guess. I just don't understand why so many damn people don't seem to get that. But, I can't make that decision. Sorry, I just got a text from our guest. Also want to say, moving on from that, let's talk some positive things. Drew Gill. Freak of nature. Drew Gill's a freak of nature. The folks at Gill Fishing make some of the best outdoor gear in the business, from their Apex rain suits to the Fitzroy jacket, waterproof gloves, waterproof beanies. They even got boots to keep your feet dry when you're out there trying to catch bass and it's raining sideways. It's ridiculous. Mother Nature has been all over us all this year. Gillfishing.com is where you can find all of it. You can use code LBL20. LBL20, 20% off. Are you kidding me? On some of the best outdoor gear in the game. Pro Guy Batteries, ProGuyBatteries.com is where you can find some of the best batteries in the game. Lead acid, AGM, and lithium. They have been in the battery business for 40 years. They know what they're doing. They're not some fly-by-night company. When they decided to get in the lithium game a couple years ago, they did their due diligence. These are very, very good folks, trusted by OEM boat manufacturers. ProGuideBatteries.com. Use code LBL10 to save at checkout. And last, but certainly not least, let's talk about the folks from baitworks.com. Bait-WRX.com. Bait-works.com. The exclusive online home of the LOB jig right here. 8 fish catching colors finer than frog hair skirt material. 3-aught custom trocar hook. Don't just take my word for it. Use code Duncan, DUNKIN-10 at bait-wrx.com to save you money on everything on the site, not just the LOB jig. I see y'all low-lifers using that code. I get notifications every time it happens, and I appreciate y'all. Duncan-10 at bait-works.com. I'm such a Drew Gill fan. Y'all know that. Pat him on a couple times. Congrats on a second BPT win. 2 out of 3 top 10s and for the season. 3 tournaments, 2 top 10s, 1 win, and the one in Florida, he was the first guy out of the top 10 cut. Like, kid is on a freaking roll, man. Other guys that are on rolls, of course, Jacob Wheeler, always on a roll. Incredible. 3 top 10s. Insane. Alton Jones Jr. I mean, there's just so many guys just fishing out of their freaking head over there. Little Alton, I feel like Little Alton makes every top 10. Every top 10. But congrats to Drew Gill. I got a text with him last night. I was sitting in the airport waiting on a damn plane, and just such a good dude. And you can take live scope away from some of them boys for 9 hours, but all they need is 2.5, and it's astonishing what they get done with it in a short period of time. very intimidating. Good God. But I didn't get to watch any of the Murray tournament with everything we had going on. Murray's one of my favorite lakes, one of my favorite areas of the country. And I was a little bummed out that I didn't get to watch, but congrats to Drew, just absolutely bringing it home. And he said on the show just a couple weeks back, man, you got to make those top 10s to keep up with Wheeler for Angler of the Year. Like, he's eyeing the prize, and now he's got him a win, a top 10, and an 11th, which Wheeler's got 3 top 10s. So we'll see how it shakes out for Drew as the season carries on. Proud to see it. So, new faces in the National Professional Fishing League. Lots of new faces. And new faces that have never fished any major tournaments. We got new faces that fish a lot of major tournaments. New faces that are only fishing the NPFL that used to fish major tournaments. We got classic champs. We got Bassmaster Angler of the Years. We got Forest Wood Cup champs. We've got multi-time NPFL champs in the field this year of 118. Incredible. We got guys like Zach Burge, who missed the first day because of Lake Murray, didn't make the cut at Murray because our event was delayed. He showed up and caught 2 bags and got a check after 0 in the first day because he wasn't there. I mean, we got a lot going on. So many things to talk about. So awesome. But one of those new faces that is an OG, one of those new faces that is arguably one of, if not the greatest spinnerbait, dirty water spinnerbait fisherman of all time, comes in from Oklahoma. Actually came in by way of Florida. Makes the cut at the St. Johns River in the Bassmaster Elite. Top 10's Okeechobee. Has to miss the meeting for NPFL and the first day of practice. Shows up late. Drops 31 pounds the first day. 19 on the second. 32 pounds on Showdown Sunday to win by a large margin over Corey Casey, second-year NPFL pro who lives at Santee Cooper. Had a fantastic event. Drops 32 pounds on a very tough day as far as we were concerned, covering it on live. Just drops the hammer on a spinnerbait. We're going to get him on the phone right now. He is driving back to Oklahoma right now, and we're going to catch up with him. Ladies and gentlemen, the first NPFL champion of the year. He's added yet another trophy to the shelf. Built a new house recently, and I hope he made a bigger trophy room than he had before, because now he's got one from basically every league ever in the history of bass fishing. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get him on the phone right now. The one and only Jason Christie with an IE.
Hello.
Well, I'd like to start this interview by saying, how are you doing? But I know how you're doing, other than the long drive. I feel like I know exactly how you're doing this morning. Another cool 100K in your pocket, buddy.
Yeah. I was on the phone with my wife earlier, and I said I would take a good kick in the, you know what, if I could snap my fingers and be home right now.
Guarantee it. Guarantee it, man. Talk about that a little bit. People don't realize, I mean, dude, it looks good, right? In the pictures, you holding up that big shield, 100K. You just had a top 10 at Okeechobee. You made the cut at St. Johns River the week before that, but you guys have been gone for weeks now. For weeks.
Actually, I went to Florida 6 or 7 days early to film for 6 or 7 days. So I counted up earlier. 31 of the last 34 days I've spent fishing.
Whoa.
And that was the goal for this year. You know, I used to coach, and you know, whenever one of my kids didn't play well, they, you know, if they didn't shoot free throws well, they had to stay and shoot free throws. If they didn't do this well, they, you know, there was some sort of discipline, I would say.
Right.
I've kind of put myself in timeout after a subpar performance last year. And, you know, it boils down to I don't fish I don't fish as much. I mean, when I get home, yeah, we go film and we gather content, but I don't fish as much. And after last year, I'm like, dude, the only way I know to fish more is to get in more events. And, that was the reason that I wanted to do it. And right now I told the guy last night, I said, I'm more tired right now. This reminds me of 2013 where
Yeah.
I go from FLW to bass, and drive
Yep.
across the country. And Jonathan Henry would fly in, and I would literally get on the same plane that he flew in on, and I'd fly out, and he would drive my stuff to Texas, and that's how it was. But fishing wise,
Dang.
like sharp as a tack. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's all you think about.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm back to that yet, but I can kind of feel it coming back. And it's just confidence with, being on the water like that. It's confidence with everything. Like, I mean, from my boat to, and this is not a sales pitch, just like my boat to my, the reels and my everything. Like, everything feels like it belongs.
Like
And
fluid, right? Like it feels fluid because
Yeah.
you're with it all the time. Yeah, I get that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I get
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Dude, Hackney said on the show, we did one before the NPFL season kicked off to talk about it, and he said the year he pulled double duty with FLW and bass. Same thing. He said, I don't fish as much anymore. That was one of the reasons I wanted to go on this journey this year with NPFL and the Elite Series. And he said, I fished way better. Same thing you just said, man. It's so interesting hearing y'all say that. And Hackney got off to a great start this year too. And he's like, hey,
Yeah.
I want to be on the water more. That's a scary statement because I know other pro anglers listen to this show, regardless of the trail that you're competing in against them. They probably didn't want to hear that, Jason.
Well,
because it's starting off pretty
yeah,
good, bud. I spend way too much time on the road pulling my bass boat around, either on fun fishing trips or trying to go to tournaments. And the number one thing that really, really stinks about my job is lodging. It always comes down to finding a good place, finding a place with adequate parking to have your boat. A lot of homeowners on the rental places or hotels, they just don't get it. The folks at Pickwick Lake Lodge, they get it. They are bass fishermen that have built a bass fishing paradise 1.5 miles from Pickwick Landing State Park there in Counce, Tennessee. So if you're over there for a tournament, check out the folks at PickwickLakeLodge.com. They have covered parking for your boats, a great place to hang after a long day on the water. PickwickLakeLodge.com. Tell them you're a lowlifer. You won't regret it. The people at the Bass Cash Bash want to make sure that you're not left out in the cold when you catch a tag bass on a number of fisheries like Sam Rayburn, Toledo Bend, Caddo Lake, Pickwick Lake, Guntersville, all the lakes on the Coosa River. There have been bass that have been caught. They've been tagged, and they're like little Easter eggs out there swimming around, and they've got prizes attached to them. They're going to give away over $2.5 million in cash and prizes. Trucks have been won, boats have been won, and cash has been handed out. It's also been missed out on. Go to basscashbash.com, get registered. It's going on for several months. A lot of these lakes just kicked off the first week of March, so don't miss your chance to catch one of those tagged bass at basscashbash.com. And last but not least, the folks from Old Boy Outfitters. They want to say, what's up, old boy? And they want to get you looking good, feeling good, and representing what you're about. Maybe that's some of their game day hats. Maybe that's showing that you're a hunter or a fisherman. They've got all sorts of lifestyle brand clothing, hooded sun shirts, some new things on the way. Check them out, oldboyoutfitters.com, and use code OLDBOY, O-L-E boy, Luke, at checkout to let them know you're a lowlifer.
Well, I'm sure a lot of those guys that listen, they're fishing like I used to. I mean, 10 years ago, I'd be gone 2 weeks and come home, mow the grass. Next day, I'd be out fishing because I just could never get enough. Well, now I'm older. There's a thing called life that,
yes, sir.
Fishing is not the only thing, and I wouldn't change it for the world, but it is. My youngest went off to school this year, so it kind of gave me a green light to fish more, and I know that. I mean, we don't know how many years that we have left, so I'm I want to get, and it's just the fact that the schedule's lined up. I mean, whenever I decided to fish the NPFL, I looked at the schedule and I really had two free ones, or three free ones. This one was right after, on the way home from Florida.
Mm-hmm.
The one at Eufaula is at the house. The one at Norman is in between two elite events, which I probably would have flew home anyway. So that was half the schedule were what I call free events, where I'm already there or close. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Made sense. Yeah.
Yeah. But that was the whole reason. It's just, I put myself in timeout and like, dude, if you're not going to perform, then this is what you're going to put yourself through. And as I'm saying that, my voice might be rattling because I'm bouncing off freaking potholes going through Memphis right now.
Well, there are plenty of, dude, Tennessee, my beloved state, our roads are so freaking bad from all the rain and some of the snow and cold. Like last night coming out of the Nashville airport, the I-65, it is so bad. Same way, dude. I hit one last night that I don't know how a fella on a motorcycle could hit it and not do 3 backflips. Like, just ridiculous. Like, lose a damn tire in it. I apologize for our roads. I'd like to say they get better when you cross the river bridge into Arkansas, but they're probably not going to.
I'm on the Arkansas side.
Oh, you're on that side. Okay, so we can blame them.
Yeah. It's there's there's part of it that is not good at all.
Yeah. Yeah. And still got a long ways to go. And man, it is interesting, the life of a bass pro to me and everybody that's in it. Cause I feel the same way a lot of times too. Is like the energy of the event is so great and everybody's fired up and high fives and all that. And you got the big checks and the trophies, and then it's just silence and you got to travel. It's just quiet. Like I've always said it's smoke and mirrors, right? Like you get to the weigh in, it looks like a big deal. And then it's just quiet and you just pack it all up, traveling circus and move it to the next town. And now you're alone in the truck driving. How many hours is it from Santee to home?
14 and a half. I literally went to bed at 10:30 last night, and I woke up at 3:30 Eastern time, or 3, and I was like, I got to go back to sleep, because if I leave now, I'll hit Memphis at 8 o'clock, or not Memphis, I'll hit Atlanta at 8 o'clock, and I laid there about 15 minutes. I'm like, I'm not going back to sleep. I'm going to get on the road. So I've been driving, for a while, and I still got 4.5 left, but we are not driving alone.
You're not?
No, I got a trophy.
I thought you had somebody helping you drive, like Scott Suggs. You made him drive you home. Sorry, devil.
No, actually, I said that on stage last night. And what's funny is that's how you know who your friends are when they text you like, dude, if you need me to drive, I'll fly out there right now. And I'm like, no, this is actually kind of, other than being tired, like it just gives me a day to drive and kind of, relax a little bit.
Yeah.
From the start of the season, and it's because it's been a lot. The motivation to get home overwhelms the tired feeling right now.
No doubt about it.
I can't wait. Yeah.
Well, how upset is your wife that she elected to fly home? I know she has stuff going on, because I texted with her, said, hey, are you at Santee with Jason? And she said, no, I flew out. And then you start doing good. And you know me, I'm giving her crap like, hey, by the way, you probably should be here. He's kind of showing up and showing out a lot. And then you win. She was texting me yesterday, do you think he's going to win? I'm like, honestly, because I did not, dude. I tell the folks at home, we really don't know. You go off of estimates, but then when we leave live, you guys still had 4 hours to go. We didn't have a camera with you yesterday to know exactly what you had. And then, so I'm going to the airport because I had to leave before you guys checked in to catch my flight. And I see 32 pounds pop up. I'm like, whoa, because you looked at me the first day and I told Fat Cat, I said, he's fixing to win. And he said,
really?
I said, he's fixing to win. Dude, I've been around you a lot over the years. When you are dialed, and I would say this about a lot of bass pros, but when you are dialed, there is and I'm obviously like, I know you, but I'm also a fan. You know what I mean? Like I've watched you in a lot of tournaments, and dude, there's just something Patrick Walters does this too. There's a thing when you're locked in and you know you're locked in, at least in my eyes, there was just one little, just like I don't even know how to say it really. I don't want to say the attitude. It's just your overall presence, I guess. When you came off stage day one and we were BSing real quick before you went and jumped in the truck, and you just looked so sincerely and said, dude, I dumped like an 8 and a 10. I should have had like 38. And there are a lot of people in life that if they said that to me, I would go, like James Watson. He tells you that. You're like, that son of a bitch is lying. James ain't catching no 8s and 10s and still bringing in 31. But when you tell me that, and there's just something about it, and then knowing the water conditions, setting up for that, what you like to do, what you are truly one of the best at. I told Fat Cat that night, I said, Christie's got it. And then you catch 19 day 2, and he's like, well, I thought you said Christie got it. I said, it's a 3-day tournament, ain't it? And he said, well, he's like, well, good point, but he's way back. I said, bro, it's a 3-day tournament. And if one of those bags happens again, it's lights out. And it did. Talk about that spinnerbait deal for the folks at home, man. You just, why is it that you are so much better than everybody with it? Because you are. Dirty water spinnerbait, I know it's an Oklahoma thing, but dude, when you get dialed, you are just a bad man with a blade.
I think it's just the confidence, a lot of guys, Patrick was one of them. Yesterday at the weigh-in, he was like, dude, how'd you catch him? And I said, spinnerbait. He's like, man, I tried it for a little while.
He did.
And they weren't, they weren't biting. And I went and did something else. See, I'm all in. When I seen the water conditions and the water temperature, and the stage of the fish and stuff, dude, it's like, yesterday I made like 6 or 8 flips with a jig just because I caught 2 big ones off two consecutive trees, and I rolled back and fished it with the jig. Other than that, I never made a cast with anything else. But it was just the feeling, and it set up good for me in the fact that those fish were, if it would have been a spawning event, I don't think that I could have won doing that. Just because a lot of those fish, they get kind of weird once they start thinking about spawning. And, that kind of goes to my ride around on the lake is, I made the excuse yet on the second day that, one day of practice killed me. But honestly, driving, looking back on the event, one day of practice is the reason that I won the event. 100%.
Wow.
100%. And the reason being is because there would be periods through the day where it would get slow. Like I would go an hour or 2 hours without a bite. The second day, I only caught 6 keepers all day long.
Yeah.
If I would have had other confidence in other areas, I would have picked up the trolling motor and left. Well, I kept the trolling motor down in that general area that I was fishing, and I learned a lot about it. The first day I learned a lot. With 30, you would think, well, yeah, I bet you did the first day. The second day I learned more when I caught 19, actually, because I really got dialed in kind of the end of the second day. At the end of it, after I'd fished through some other stuff, I caught a big one right at the end of the day that saved took me from 12 to 19. Then I knew. I'm not saying that I expected to win, because you don't know if a 4-pounder is going to bite your bait or an 8 or 9-pounder. You've got to get lucky and get the right bites. But that's what the one day of practice. I would fish through those 2-hour lulls and just stay hooked up and keep that bait in my hand. And yesterday at 11, I had to make a decision because I had 2 big ones. I made 5-pounders. In my books, those are big ones.
Yeah.
And I had a limit, but I was like, all right, I can't keep beating a dead horse. It's time for me to. And I literally just took off fishing. And I fished for 2.5 hours without a bite, and literally was just about to call an audible. And I catch a female, like a 4.5-pound female off of a tree. The very next tree, I catch a 3-pound female. And I'm like, and then I fish on through it. no bites. And when I went through it, I noticed something on side scan. And so I was gone, maybe after fishing on down, I was about 30 minutes. I came back, made that same cast, and caught an 8.
Phew.
So it it literally just boom, it clicked. Ran back, I had at this point I had an hour left, and I ran to an area and caught that 9 and called 2.5.
Jeez.
And it's just little hints like that. It's the things that, I was so close. I was so close for a big part of the event, and then all of a sudden it's just like boom. I know exactly what is going on. I know exactly. And the lake just got really small because all of the other nonsense that you see just goes away. All you see is what you're looking for, and I would like to have just went fun fishing today just to see what actually I think I could have caught, but yeah, but it's just that little thing. It's just that little thing of looking down and noticing side scan and seeing what. And I'm not going to say what that.
Yeah, I was going to say. I know you're not. Yeah, you're not going to give us that. I understand that. Yeah, that little nugget.
Because we're probably gonna fish another event there. So, but yeah, it was cool, man. I will say this: that once I felt like all day long I was fishing for second. And when I caught that 9, I'm by myself. There's not a single boat around. I black out. I don't even know. When I caught it, I lost my mind. I hope the GoPro footage is good. But, yeah, I literally knew then that I had a chance to win. I didn't think that I did because the leader had been, and everybody else in the top 5 had been so consistent on catching big bags. I thought, man, you got a chance now. They got to freaking catch them. And I just say, man, when you do this a lot, as much as I have, these things come when you least expect it. If you would have told me before the event started, if you'd asked me what's the chances of you winning, every angler should feel like that they have a chance, but I didn't really think that I didn't think it was going to happen. And I love events where you get in the area, you settle down, you figure out the area as the tournament goes, you learn about it, and you don't have tunnel vision. It's hard to do because it's frustrating when you're fishing. You're punching yourself in the side of the head thinking, man, what am I missing? What am I, but once you figure it out, that's the reason that I fish right there.
Well, and that's the good stuff, right? When the puzzle pieces fall into place, even if it's not for a 32-pound bag, even if it's to scramble your way to a check or whatever the case is, when the pieces fall, it's the best feeling. Same with deer hunting. You're a deer assassin, I would say. That's fair to say. You kill a lot of freaking giant deer. And it's the same way, man. When you finally win that game against one that you've been battling with, there's no feeling like that. Would you say that it's more important this time of year too, with constant change, days getting longer, crazy weather conditions changing all the time, that it's more important to stay with the fish during the tournament than have a great practice?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's one of the things that's what I was going to say earlier. So in my ride around on the lake, I call it a ride around because that's pretty much what it was. There was an area of the lake that was the coldest by far. And that's what I wanted, because I felt like if I was close to that warm water, a lot of those fish would be thinking about spawning, and it would just take a day or two for those fish to bolt to the bank and spawn. Well, in Santee Cooper terminology, not bolt to the bank, just go to the nearest cypress tree and spawn. I didn't want that. So there was an area of the lake that was really cold, It was 51 the first cast that I made the first day, and I think the last cast it got up to like 54.
Okay.
And usually that's more consistent. Like those fish aren't as apt to move, as 60. I mean, 51 to 54 is a lot different than 58 to 61.
For sure.
Those fish travel a lot more in that period. So that's what I was hunting, and I found it, and I feel like honestly, not a lot of guys, because I've seen a fair amount of competitors throughout the event, but I think a lot of people were looking for that warm water, like they were wanting them to come up and get on the bank and spawn and stuff like that. And I didn't want that. I wanted to catch them when they're biting, not when they're thinking about loving.
Yeah. It's a lot easier to get them to bite that spinnerbait when that's the case. And it was a moving bait tournament overall for so many folks that we covered on live. A lot of vibrating jig fishing, but it was big staging areas. You know what I mean? Like not those specific casts like what you were doing. The majority of guys that were doing well were catching them coming and going. We saw some post spawn fish get caught too, but it was so crazy yesterday. And this is why your bag is, I want folks at home to understand how mind blowing that 32, how impressive it is, because fishing got a lot tougher yesterday on a lot of guys. And mainly the leaders. And I say leaders, the top five. We cover the top five on live. You were just right outside of that. You, Billy Lowen, Hank Cherry, several of y'all, Caleb Coupal, right outside of that top five. But even guys like Patrick Walters, who's a local there, he was all over the place trying to figure out where they had gone. And it speaks to what you're saying there in that colder water, they don't want to move. Those guys that were in warmer water and had those fish that were just right outside those spawning areas, they left. They were gone yesterday, man. And I think they went to the hill. Like, I just think they went to the freaking bank and or close to Cypress Tree. Like you said, they just locked down. But Buddy Gross, the same deal. Been cracking them and staging it, gone. Buck Mallory, gone. Patrick's fish, he caught a good bag, but still gone. Corey Casey, he caught 27 the first day, 30 the second day, drops back to 15 yesterday. His fish just abandoned him. They were just gone. And they just had a hard time relocating those big females again.
Yeah. It's not very often that, I don't know how many bass tournaments I've fished, but people that are listening, you fish bass tournaments, it's not very often that the plan just works out perfectly.
Yeah.
And when it does, it's just, I got goosebumps right now because every decision that I made, and even the second day, like you're like, oh, you didn't make good decisions the second day. So I had 12 pounds with 30 minutes left to go, and I run and catch a big one, to get within, to at least still stay within. The second day was just as important as the first and the third day.
Yes, sir.
But whenever a plan like comes together, and that's the whole point of fishing more, not second guessing yourself. I had a 6-hour drive or 7-hour drive from Okeechobee to Santee, and I had 7 hours to think about the event, and I'm like, all right, this is what I want to hunt for. This is how I'm going to do it. I only get pretty much a day of practice, and you don't have a lot of options, and I love that.
That's awesome, man. I don't guess I realized you only have one day. I actually said in my intro before I brought you on, I thought you had 2 days. I said he missed the meeting, but I forget. You fished late there on Okeechobee. You have to weigh in. You probably got you some rest and then drove up on Monday.
Yeah, actually, I drove Sunday night as late as I could till like 11. I roll in at 9. Well, I had to unload everything. I had to get my lock box.
Yep, for your live
put it on my boat. I had to drive 20 miles to get enough service to send the picture.
Yeah.
So I didn't get on the water till like 11. And I'm gonna tell you, son, at 3 o'clock, it hit me like a bag of rocks, and I was worthless. So I made the decision. I'm like, hey, you'd be better off to go in, get some rest, and concentrate tomorrow. Really like put in a full hard day of practice tomorrow, and that's what I did. So, I think in that second day the one day of practice was a crutch. Like I said, the one day of practice is without a doubt the reason that I won.
That's amazing. Now, on that one day, I know you said a ride around, you're looking at water temperatures, you're looking at water clarity, all that, looking at areas. Did you have a couple bites that day on the spinnerbait?
So, I put in the last day, and there's a guy at the boat ramp that's in the tournament. We all know him. I don't want to say his name, but he's like, no, they're not biting a spinnerbait. They just, I've thrown it. They're not biting. And I was like, all right, so you think once you hear something, you can't unhear it. So I'm out there, I'm like, dude, are they not? And I actually fished an hour or two. I'm like, man. And then all of a sudden I catch one. And then I catch one, and then they get bigger, and they get bigger. And like, what's funny is the last cast I made that night, I was kind of behind the island, and there was a boat. Now I hear it running, and I look up, and I can see it a half mile out there, and it's running right toward me. It's gonna fish the other side of the island, and I get a bite, and it's like an 8-pounder, and jeez. I'm down on the side of the boat unhooking it. I get it unhooked, and I jump up and I idle out, and I'm like, he didn't see that. That's good news. And you know who it was?
Who's that?
Patrick Walton.
Good thing he didn't see it.
I seen him more this event than I ever have, and I think that was just the fact that, for one, I was fishing in a good area, and two, we were both kind of looking for the same thing. And I didn't know it. But yeah, I think that we were looking for the same stuff. And he was running all over the lake, I'm sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, he did yesterday a lot. Yeah. You'd see him in clean water, dirty water, fishing pads, staging trees way out off stuff with a spinnerbait, with a chatterbait. Then he'd run up and he'd be flipping, and then he was looking for him on the bed. He was all over the place yesterday. But with a long day on your home lake, you know what I mean? You guys, with that, the way NPFL does it, was that the longest tournament day of your life?
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, they asked me whenever we took off that morning. They said, "What time did you check in?" And I said, "Midnight, or is it 12:30?" One or the other.
Exactly.
Dude, it's the first time ever in a tournament that I had to stop. It was like 2:30. I'd been fishing for 31 days.
Yep. I'm
like, I gotta take a break. Like, literally, I sat down. I peeled me 2 oranges. I had a piece of cake left over from Okeechobee in my boat that was a week old. I sat down, I ate something, and I just took a little break because I checked in at 6:30.
6:30. Yeah, with the time change. Yeah, with the time change. Last flight was 5:30 the first 2 days. Of course, we got daylight savings time as if we needed another curveball in this event. And for folks that don't pay attention, so NPFL, on the final day, the way they reward, and sometimes I feel like the guys in the top 10 don't think it's a reward, especially if they catch them early. But the reward is you get to take off first and check in last. So the top 10 blast off first, obviously, and they check in the very last flight. So these guys had they blast off at 7:30 yesterday morning, 6:30 p.m. check-in time. So I wanted to ask you that because you fished every tournament under the sun for a lot of years. I'm like, is that the longest tournament day of your life? Because it had to be.
I've only fished a few all-nighters that were longer.
Yeah,
12 hours.
Yeah,
and that's almost 12 hours. But yeah, when I got in, I was like, now did I miss one of my kids' birthdays? Did I miss the anniversary? No, everything's good. It was just one day.
Yeah, it just seemed like you were there for a month. Yeah, it's so crazy, man. Talking to guys that have never fished with us, or they make their first top 10, they're like, "Damn, that was a long day, man. That was a really long day."
Yeah, it was, and it was scary because, you're like, well, I get a long day today. I'm going to get to do some work. Well, so does everybody else. You think about those guys. And that's why I was shocked about the guys in the top 5, really, that didn't catch them as well as they've been catching them. I was like, man, you give them an extra 3 hours, they're liable to weigh 40.
Yep. Yeah, and that afternoon bite seemed to be better, too, right? Like the late flights seemed to be where the heavier weights were every day. You were hearing stories, talking to all the guys.
Yeah, there would be some females every day, like pull up right at the end of the day. So I think that's what was happening was, that afternoon there'd be a group of females pull up and guys would get them pretty easy.
Oh
Fresh
yeah.
ones,
Yeah.
ones that want to bite.
Yeah, no doubt. That seemed to be happening. So, yeah, when we ended live, I thought you guys had moved up. I say you guys, it was you, Caleb Coupal, Bill Lowen. Y'all had moved up to the top. Hank Cherry was in the mix on our unofficial leaderboard. And I'm getting texts from people like, dude, who do you think's going to win? And nobody in our top 5 when we started the day was in contention when we ended live. But I kept telling folks, well, they still got 4.5 hours. There's a lot of things that are fixing to happen. Now, a lot of things did happen. Jason Christie caught a 9 and an 8 and caught 32 pounds on a spinnerbait.
Dude, I don't even remember if I entered that one. Like, I literally, so right before I caught that fish, I was like, all right, you got, I remember it like it happened 30 seconds ago. I was like, you got 21 minutes left to fish. You got to catch a big one. I catch that big one. I go freaking crazy in the boat. And I'm like, oh, gosh, I got to get back to weighing. Like, I pulled my trolling motor up like I was 30 seconds late, and I took off. I think that I entered it, but literally I bolted straight to the weigh-in, because when you're in the last flight, there's nobody behind you if you're to tow you, not tow you in. But I mean, I got 100% confidence in everything. But Santee, you hit a stump, something like that. Anything can happen. So I was like, I got to get across this lake and at least have a chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that happened to Brandon Perkins in our first year. That late flight deal cost him Angler of the Year in our last tournament because he had an issue with his outboard coming back. Nobody to bring him in. 15 minutes late, DQs his whole weight. Keith Carson wins Angler of the Year in 2021 because of that. And you always try to build that drama on live. Hey, this thing's not over with yet, guys. Stick around. And that was one of those times that something actually did unfortunately happen to Brandon. All right, two things before we wrap it up here. And dude, I appreciate you taking the time as you drive across the country. How would you rate other than the win and the $100,000, the overall experience with NPFL this week? Because it's a little different. They do things different. And obviously you're a big Garmin guy. You're very good with live scope, forward-facing sonar, but no forward-facing sonar on your boat that you can see for the first time in several years. How was your overall experience?
So here's my stance on this. And I know this is going to sound weird. I really think that fishing these events will make my overall fishing, including live scope, better. I mean, dude, I won, correct me if I'm wrong, I won the first event with Panoptics on St. Clair.
Yes, sir.
I won the Classic with live scope.
Yes, sir.
Like, I'm not against it. Like, I'm not a hater at all. Like,
no,
I've learned a lot. And it's changed the way I fish. It's like when I'm running that spinnerbait by those trees, in the back of my head, I'm thinking, I remember looking at these fish whenever we were here last time and how they react to the bait, like fish your bait out a little bit further. But, on the Elite Series, sometimes, you get there and I'm like, oh, this is, it's going to be a 100% live scope event. That's what I need to focus on. I really think doing this is going to make me a better live scoper. I know that sounds weird, and I know people are going to be like, that doesn't make sense, but it's going to. It really is. But the overall experience, I told somebody last night, I was like, might need to quit because I'm batting 100% right now in NPFL, and that will not last. That will not last very long. But the thing that I saw with them is they got some kinks to work out, but
for sure
they know it. You know what I mean?
That's right. They own it.
Overall, when I say that, I don't mean like anything major. Dude, they know it. They're asking for feedback and stuff like that, and he admits it. And he's like, all right, we're going to do better, and we're going to do better. Dude, I live life like that. Like to Tuesday, I want Wednesday to be better than Tuesday,
yes,
and that's
sir.
what they see. And I appreciate that. So I like the laid backness, if that's a word, of the event.
Yeah.
And I think maybe it's just because it's it's like, hey, I just want to fish these and get better and fish more. I like it. It's almost, to me, it's almost like a no points event, which it is. But no, the feedback. I mean, my feedback is they listen, and they're gonna, it's just, I got a trophy sitting here, so
You're real happy.
I'm happy.
You're real
Yeah.
happy. Well, you got 5 more chances to win one, and then qualify for the championship. Maybe win another one next year at some point. There ain't no doubt. Hey, real quick, how much experience do you have on Eufaula, Oklahoma, Lake Eufaula, except probably a ton, if I'm guessing?
I've been there a time or two.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. For NPFL pros listening to this, I'm sorry. You're going to have to deal with some Okies. You're going to have to deal with Jason. You're going to have to deal with Zach Burge out there. That one's going to be an interesting one for sure. I'm praying praying for rain.
So I haven't fished there in a while. I mean, since I was hanging around the house fishing team and BFLs and stuff like that. But it will be a very tough event if we don't get some rain or something like that. But it is a ginormous. People think Santee's big. You can put, I don't know how big they are, but Eufaula is
Massive.
I think is it like 117,000 acres or something like that.
Yeah, it's a big boy. It's a big boy. There's no doubt. Last time we were there in 23. Yeah, it's a big old place. Big place. No doubt about it. All right, one last thing.
Yes, sir.
I know you guys have built a new house here over the last couple of years. Did you build a bigger trophy room? Because you might need it. Because now, dude, you've got. All right, let's run through it just real fast, Ed. You've got BFL trophies, Toyota Series Costa Everstart trophies, FLW Tour trophies, Bassmaster Elite trophies, Bassmaster Open trophies, Bassmaster Classic trophies. Now an NPFL Shield. Did I miss any? I feel like I missed some. You got a bunch of deer heads, but you got trophies from all brands. You're just an equal opportunity offender. Jason Christie just rolls in, takes the shields, takes the money, takes the trophies. Every freaking trail, dude. Does it feel any different right now than your first win, though? Like, still got to be just sweet.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, and everybody's, the first thing a lot of people see is the money. Yeah, the money's awesome, but it's just the feeling that the plan comes together, and for that 1 week that you caught them better than everybody else. As far as the trophy room, my wife and I are both like very precise. We measure the distance between the pictures and the walls to make sure they're even. So whenever I built the shop, we built the shelves for the trophies and stuff, and literally they're full. And she's like, what are you going to do if you win another one? I said, well, I think we'll worry about that when it happens. Let's not jinx it. But I got a skill saw out there in the shop. It won't take me very long to build a shelf.
Do it yourself.
I will say this is the biggest trophy. Like,
dude,
it's giant.
They're huge. They're heavy. They're huge. They're so cool. My favorite trophy in bass fishing, and that's not just because I'm a hometown guy with the NPFL. I love that freaking trophy. I think they're so cool, man. So cool.
Yeah.
Proud you got one.
It's cool. There's one trophy left to get, and I don't know that the way that I fish that I'm angler of the year material. I just tend to take too many risks, but that's one
that's the one.
If that helps at all. But any angler of the year trophy, that's consistency is I finished second one year and watched Pollinet catch the winning fish right in front of me. So it's possible, but that's something that it's never really been important to me. I was always a Bassmaster Classic guy.
Yeah.
Now it's different. I think it's just because of the consistency. I want to have a year where I catch them every event, not just a few events.
Well, so far you're 3 for 3, bud.
Yes,
You're
sir.
catching them every event. So I'd say it's a pretty damn good start to 2025. And spoiler alert, the shield for progressive angler of the year in the NPFL, it's gold. It's just all gold. So you have a red, white, and blue, and then a gold one if you win that sucker this year. So
Dude, I love it because the Southeast is usually the thorn in my side. I mean, like, I love fishing. I love fun fishing in Florida and those lakes down there. I love it. I love the fact that you pitch in there and you got that millisecond where you don't know if it's a 12-incher or a 10-pounder. But fishing can be challenging down there, especially consistency. But to start the year in the Southeast and get out of there with 3 good finishes and yeah, like I couldn't have drawn it up any better.
No, it's and it spells trouble, in my opinion, for a lot of folks for the rest of the year in the elites and on the NPFL. Jason, Christie, you're the man. I appreciate you spending some time with me, buddy. Get home and get that skill saw out. Tell Shannon to measure, get the level out. Y'all get it right and get that shield up there on the wall.
We'll have it up by dark.
Heck yeah, I like it. All right, buddy, be safe. Thank you so much.
See ya.
Jason Christie, everybody, right there. The one and only, man. Goodness gracious. Dialed in beyond words. And I think it's so interesting that to hear him talk about fishing more at that level, because it's exhausting. We've seen it with John Cox. We've seen guys over the years. Even Van Dam did it back in the day, fishing FLW and Bassmaster, and you're all over the place. You're here and there. We've seen I remember Ish Monroe had 2 separate rigs. Trucks and boats identically rigged up, one for the tour on the FLW side, one for the Bassmaster Elites, and he would hopscotch here to there, here to there. It's impressive. You cannot take it lightly what they do, but it does make them so dangerous. And Jason cut down there at St. John's, top 10 at Okeechobee in the first 2 elites of the year, and now winner on the National Professional Fishing League in his first ever. So, glad to have him. Glad to have the 118 anglers that we do. We got a good group of anglers, and this year is going to be very fun. Thank y'all for checking out Low Budget Live. Remember, Birdie Social Club, March 22nd. You got 12 days to get your life right, as my friend Fat Cat Newton would say. And join us, 8 p.m. Birdie Social Club. We'll take y'all out with some Biloxi Blues, which you will hear at Birdie's, without a question, without a doubt. May hear it several times. I'm a one-hit wonder. Just ask people that don't like me. Here we go. See ya.
I never could make it last. Spanish moss and Civil War ghosts, well, I'm gonna leave them in the past. Any direction, Lord, I'll be fine. It don't matter east or west. North, south, wherever the wind blows, I'm leaving those burdens at rest. This highway, it does not know my name, and I don't care, no, I don't care. Heading my way for another place, and I got 3 good tires and a spare. Just a white line gypsy getting out of Mississippi with just enough gas to